All right, everybody, let's pull that tarp. My guest today is Mickey Jannis. So Mickey had a big summer. Mickey made his major league debut at the age of 33 with the Baltimore Orioles. Mickey is a knuckleballer, one of the rarest breeds in all of baseball these days. And he's got an absolutely fantastic story of tireless work ethic, staying focused on a goal. Welcome to Everybody Pulls the Tarp, Mickey.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Now it's my pleasure, Mickey. So I want to start by going back, way back when you were drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays, the 44th round. What is that experience like? When it's getting drafted in baseball is so different than other sports because you still have such a massive hill to climb in terms of navigating the minor leagues to reach that ultimate goal of getting to the big leagues. So what's your mindset when you're drafted by the Rays, thinking about what's ahead?
Yeah, at the time you're just excited to hear your name called, and baseball. Well, at least for me anyway. Like I never really knew if I was going to get that opportunity or not. So I was just, excited to hear my name and get the get the whole experience started. Yeah, it was a long process of waiting those 44 rounds, and a couple times, you just don't really know if you're going to hear your name, and then all of a sudden, I remember following it on my laptop in my apartment after school, and just I ended up like spacing out for a little bit, and then all of a sudden I kind of heard my name in the background, and I'm like, wait a second, I think that was me. And then I look at my computer, and then sure enough, it was. And then me and my roommate were actually watching it both in our rooms, and all of a sudden I hear my roommate in the other room scream like he was excited for me. So it was just an awesome experience, and something I'll never forget.
So you report to camp. You're with the Rays after your second minor league season. The Rays cut you, and you're essentially kind of I guess back to square one. What do you do then? You go to independent ball and try and kind of rebuild everything. I know that's kind of when you started to pick up the knuckleball.
Yeah. I got released by the Rays in the off season. Had two decent seasons with them, but I was just playing short season, and I just kind of took it as a way to maybe I want to do something different than everybody else is doing. And this is really before the age of everybody's throwing 95 plus, trying to blow by everybody, and I was a sinker slider guy, just an average righty, 5'9", not blowing anybody away, but just getting outs. And I was like, well, if I'm going to go to indie ball, I'm probably not going to stake out throwing 88 to 92. So I knew I had a good knuckleball when I always fooled around with it from when I was 12, 13 years old, all the way up, but I never really stuck with it in games and, threw it every pitch. But I was like, let's try something different. Maybe this is the way this is gonna go, and had conversations with my family and stuff, and they were all for it. So decided to give that a shot.
I think Mickey, that's a really interesting lesson for anybody, right? Regardless of what career they're in or what line of work or whatever they're doing. I mean, what you identified there was an opportunity to stand out, right? You said kind of doing the same thing as everybody else might not necessarily get me where I need to go because maybe I don't, I don't have that 95-mile-an-hour fastball. I'm not 6'4". You kind of, I think we're really self-aware and mature for the age you were at the time, and said, look, I got to do something different here to stand out. Did you have, you mentioned your family. I mean, did you have some coaches and mentors that were helping you think through that, or was that something that just came to you?
It was mostly just my dad as a coach. He was a coach for 35, 40 years, high school. He coached his brother growing up. And then my cousin played in the big leagues. He was actually a sinker guy throwing 84, 85 miles an hour and pitched in the big leagues in 1995. And my uncle played professionally in Australia. So just having people in the baseball world and just having conversations with them, and I don't think they like forced it on me or anything. It was just something that we had talked about, and then we just kind of saw it as a new opportunity and just like, let's give it a shot. I know it's pretty good when I play catch with guys, and when I did fool around with it in like college summer leagues or high school, it was pretty good. So it was just like, let's give it a shot. And actually, at the end of my tenure with the Rays in 2011, I almost threw it the last game of the season because I was fooling around with it, and I was like, talked to my coaches about it. They saw me play catch with it with some guys, and they were like, "It's good. Yeah, you could throw it the last game of the season." So I was going into the last game of the season in 2011, like ready to throw it. Everybody's excited for me, and then one of the pitching coaches actually was like, "Hey, we're winning the game. It's the ninth inning. Like, we just want to end the season on a good note. Like, let's just scrap it." And then I ended up getting released after the season, and I was a 23-year-old kid just going like, okay, coach says doesn't want me to throw it, so it's like, and then looking back now, obviously I'm like, should have just thrown it. Like, there was nothing against it. Like, I should have just said whatever and just thrown it. But that's how it is in pro ball. Sometimes you're listening to the coaches, and but anyway, so it took me to independent ball, and yeah, so just decided to go with it.
And for Mickey, I want because so many people listening are may not be baseball fans. I want for the average non-baseball fan, I think it's important for people to understand that the game has gone so far towards the velocity and the big arms throwing 98, 99, 100 plus miles an hour. The knuckleball is something totally different. Why don't you share for people who aren't familiar with the knuckleball and maybe baseball how unique it really is and what it is?
It's hard for me to explain it sometimes. That's how weird it is, but it's just an unpredictable pitch that relies on like airflow and no spin to get movement. So with everybody trying to, I got a baseball right here. I mean, everybody's relying on the four seam spin, rising up in the zone right now at high velocities, where the knuckleball, you're coming in with zero spin, and it catches the seam catches a piece of the airflow or the wind, and it causes to turn, and then it gives it some wiggle is pretty much all it is. So it's just unpredictable, and because it's so unpredictable, like coaches or front offices, it's hard. You can't really coach it, so you're kind of on an island when you're throwing it.
A lot of the catchers don't even, a lot of the catchers don't even want to catch it, right? I mean, it's pretty challenging, right?
Yeah, you do come across guys who don't want to catch it, don't want any part of it. I mean, you just remember Tim Wakefield and the Red Sox, and they had Jason Varitek, a phenomenal catcher, and he basically said, you better bring in Doug Mirabelli back because I don't want to have to deal with this thing. And Mirabelli made a career out of it. And, and I think R.A. Dickey had, I think it's Josh Tooley was another guy, so they have their personal catchers. But, yeah, it's so unpredictable, and it's really uncoachable. And sometimes it's hard to really feel when it's good or when it's bad, because you can have a good one and it still gets hit around, and then you can have like a not so good one, and you go 7 shutout with it just because it's so unpredictable. So
I know, Mickey, when I've been watching baseball for years, and I as everybody knows from the everybody pulls the tarp mindset, I spent a little bit of time working in minor league baseball, so I've been around the ballpark. I've spent my fair share of time around baseball players. One of the things that I've always observed, especially with pitchers, is that you have a lot of downtime, and it always seems like you're spending a lot of time talking. I'm sure you're talking about all kinds of different things, but I'm sure some of that conversation is about pitching and honing your craft and what you can learn from one another. How does somebody like you, I mean, there might be nobody on the team for you to necessarily kind of compare notes with. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a strange strange pitch. With all the analytics we have nowadays, there's no way to predict the knuckleball either. So again, going back to you got all these charts and plots and everything with dots on them, and the way analytics are reading it, and then you got a knuckleball. And I don't know if you remember math class at all, but it's just a big scatter plot where you have four-seam fastballs here, you have sliders here, changeups here, whatever, and then a knuckleball, it's just everywhere, because it just moves in every different direction, and there's no consistency to it, and that's what makes it good and great. But that's also what is so tough about it, because again, there's no way to coach it. There's no way to, it's hard enough to teach. I mean, I've talked with some knuckleballers at times, and it's really just gathering some thoughts together and then going out and throwing it and just having a feel for it, because it's just, you just don't know how to coach it and what's a good one to look for. Okay, the catcher can't catch it. That one was probably a good one, but sometimes you're throwing them with no spin and they're not dancing all over the place. It's just a strange pitch where it's just so unpredictable in every aspect of, you're trying to master an unpredictable pitch, basically.
So Mickey, you're drafted by the Rays. You have a couple years in pro ball there. You're let go by the Rays. You go to independent ball. You kind of keep the dream alive. 2015, the Mets sign you. You join the Mets organization. Now, do you feel like you kind of have a new lease on life? Your Major League Baseball dreams are alive. How does that feel? Now you've got another Major League organization who's taking a bet on you at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it was I was going into that 2015 season in independent ball, and I wasn't getting any looks from 2012 to 2014. I think I threw for maybe one or two scouts, and they were basically like, "Oh, you throw a knuckleball, you throw it pretty hard," and then it's just that's it, because they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to, feed this information to front offices. Even if they do, the front office is like, well, it's knuckleball. I don't know what to do with that. So it was almost like, if I don't get anything this year, how much longer can I even keep going? That was the first real time where I was like, maybe this will be the end. But ended up middle of the season 2015 getting picked up by the Mets, who obviously had success with R.A. Dickey, so that was pretty cool. And the pitching coordinator was into, again, something that's different than everything else. So, there's somebody who buys into the knuckleball and, being different than everybody else, having something different in the organization. So, just working with him and realizing there's another opportunity. So just trying to hold on to it and, ride it as far as I could.
How did you go? You mentioned that was kind of maybe the one time to that point where you had thought about, maybe I pack it in, maybe I do something different. How did you kind of work yourself through that process? I mean, there's people, whether it's in sports, business, anything, right? There's entrepreneurs who have startups that, they're trying to progress and they don't feel like things are working. People are faced with decisions all the time to, for lack of a better term, to give up or to move on. How did you go through that process and then get on the other side of I'm gonna keep going?
It was just kind of like a mindset, just going out every time, giving it everything I could, and pitching the best, and just trying to take advantage of the opportunity in independent ball. And I knew I had a good opportunity with the Long Island Ducks. We had a great team. We had a coach and a general manager there that was bought in on what I was trying to do. So they, let me run out there and do my thing. And, it was just kind of trying to block out everything else and, just go out there and pitch and just get people out, and hopefully somebody takes notice. And again, that was all you could really do, is just go out there and get people out. So I just, kind of blocked everything out. And then when I got on the mound, just did my thing. And turned it into a contract with the Mets.
So we kind of keep fast forwarding here. 2020, the Orioles pick you up. You're now in the Orioles organization. But then, a challenge faced by all folks in the minor leagues at that point, the COVID crisis hits. The minor league baseball season is basically shut down. You got to feel like nothing's working for you at that point, right? You've got another chance. You're getting really close, and then a global pandemic hits, and obviously that created lots of challenges. And still creating challenges for folks around the world. How did you deal with that now? Both from kind of the mental side of it, and then just the pure like staying in shape, keeping moving forward as a pitcher.
Yeah, I know that was extremely challenging time for everyone. But yeah, it was just finding any way I could to throw the ball and stay sharp just in case. We actually found a group that was able to throw like live batting practices, and so I was actually able to face some hitters here and there, maybe like once a week or so for a couple months, and then basically just finding a fence at a park that they wouldn't kick you off of, throwing into the fence. And then I actually bought a net for my backyard, so I was throwing into the net a lot and just trying to stay sharp any way I could. I know me and my wife were doing backyard workouts all the time, and just trying to stay in shape and having conversations, every few weeks with our pitching coordinator with the Orioles. So just having conversations with him and seeing what they needed, and just trying to stay ready just in case they needed me. So
this Mickey, this show is called Everybody Pulls the Tarp, and it's all based upon this philosophy that I have that great teams, great organizations are powered by individuals who do the unexpected. And while the show is not about baseball and it's not about literally pulling the tarp, it all goes back to an experience I had as an intern working in minor league baseball. I worked for a summer with the Trenton Thunder. At the time, we're the AA affiliate for the Yankees. And I thought I was going to go there and learn the business of sports. And I quickly learned, as many who listen have heard this story many, many times, that in the minor leagues, everybody does everything. And I was out there 15, 16 times that year pulling the tarp with the grounds crew. And alongside me were our CEO and general manager, our VP of marketing, a bunch of grounds crew guys. I also, I drove players and their wives to the airport, back to their condos. I dressed as the mascot for 2 weeks. I parked cars. I sold merchandise in the crowd. I set up moon bounces. I did everything that was asked of me, regardless of what was in my job description. And as I progressed in my career, what I started to realize was that, being a tarp puller, as I have come to call it, is a key ingredient to success, right? I want to work with other tarp pullers. I want to be around other tarp pullers. I want to be around people who are never going to say that's not my job. And I think one of the cool things, obviously a lot of this conversation is around baseball and minor league baseball, but, we talk with leaders and high performers from all walks of life on the show. And what I find consistently is people who find success, like you have found, do it by just doing the unexpected, checking their ego at the door and being willing to do whatever it takes. I'm reminded, listening to your story, of one of my conversations on this show with Scott Hatterberg, whose story became, obviously of global fame in Moneyball. But Scott, talked about his wife as well. When Billy Beane came to Scott and said, "Hey, we're going to kind of resurrect your career, and we're going to move you to first base," him and his wife went out into a parking lot at their condo complex, and he worked on fielding grounders in a parking lot, and then on a tennis court. So you've got to do all these unexpected things, and people look and they say, "Oh, Mickey Jannis, a professional baseball player, drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays. It must be glamorous. It must be easy. He must have all these things. He could play and pitch and throw with whoever he wants, whenever he wants." And then you're left, standing at a chain link fence, hoping somebody's not going to throw you out. I think when you think back on your career and the long bus rides and the minor league ballparks and all the throwing at the chain link fence and getting a net and doing it in the backyard, how did you kind of stay focused on the goal, the ultimate goal?
I I don't know. I mean, it's just, I think it's just loving the game, I think, too. I don't know, loving the grind and just believing myself that there is going to be that opportunity at the end where if I keep working at it, keep working on my craft and keep believing that, one day I can pitch in the major leagues, which is the bottom line why I kept pitching is, when I was in indie ball at the beginning, when I was first got picked up by the Mets, when I became a minor league free agent, waiting for a call from somebody to say like, hey, we're all in on the knuckleball, let's go. It's just believing that I could pitch in the major leagues. It wasn't, I did love the game and, love being out there with the guys and the chess match of, pitcher hitter and trying to get the guy out. But, I said, if I didn't think I could pitch in the major leagues, I wouldn't be doing this. Like there really wouldn't be a reason to be doing it then. So I really believe that I, at the end of the day, would get a chance to pitch in the major leagues and, still believe that obviously, which is why I'm still working at it. And, every day is a challenge with the knuckleball. There's some days you go out there and you're like, man, I can't even throw a ball with no spin right now. Like, I don't know what's going on, and then, I'll be warming up in the bullpen like that. And then I go up on the mound and first one, the catcher misses it, hits him square in the chest. And you're like, all right, it's going to be a good one today, and things like that. So it's such a strange pitch that sometimes that happens. But I think just the ultimate goal of believing that I could, I had the confidence in myself that I could pitch in the major leagues was really what was driving me. So just kind of, staying focused in the moment on working on my stuff. And then, at the end of the day, thinking that, I'll get that opportunity.
So passion, belief, confidence in yourself, obviously all key ingredients. Well, Mickey, you got to live that dream in June. You get the call up from the Orioles. You make your major league debut at the age of 33, which, again, for folks who aren't baseball fans, that's somewhat unique. To make your major league debut at 33, after many years, in the minor leagues, affiliated ball and independent ball. At the time, you became only the 8th knuckleballer to make a major league debut in 20 years. So again, a rare feat. What's that moment like? Take me through that day.
It was just a crazy experience. I mean, it's hard to even put into words what was going on. I just remember sitting in my hotel room in Norfolk and getting the call from my manager, thinking like seeing his name pop up on my phone. And I'm like, all right, if there's a change in the rotation, it's the pitching coach that calls you. I'm like, I've never heard from the manager this early in the morning. It was like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. And I was just like, this got to be it. Call him or pick up the phone. Hey, Gary, how's it going? He's like, great, man. He's like, I really wish I could say this to you in person, but the Orioles are selecting your contract. You're going to the major leagues. Like, keep doing your thing. Get up there, pitch your game, shag BP, do all the things that you do, because he's like, just be yourself and, best of luck. And then called my wife, and I'm like shaking at the time, like heart's beating so fast, and just told her, I was like, you ready for our life to change a little bit? And I was like, you better head to Baltimore here pretty soon. And she was actually vacationing on the East Coast, so she just had a quick drive down to Baltimore, and yeah, it was just a crazy day of packing emotions, trying to tell everybody, and also trying to stay focused on like when I get there on what I need to do to pitch, to be ready to pitch that day. So, but yeah, it was just a very emotional day, and still even hard to put into words.
I can't even imagine, one, because I'm not athletic, so I would never, have the opportunity to do anything like you have accomplished, Mickey. But you go through all the emotions. You have you kind of reach that pinnacle moment, that call that you have dreamt about since you're a child. Maybe it comes in and you're trying to share in that with everybody, but you're also trying to stay focused on the fact that, hey, I have to pitch in a Major League Baseball game, right? I have to do something that I've never done before. When you got between the lines and you were on a mound and you were staring at a catcher, did things kind of settle down for you and you were able to just do what you've done for so many years, just throw ball to glove?
I think so. I mean, it was still emotional. You're trying to take it all in at the same time because you want to remember it. But I just remember jogging in and just thinking like, all right, here it is. Like, you're here. And then I got to the mound and I'm warming up and, you got adrenaline going, but at the same time, it just like, you don't really feel it. You're just going with it. And then, I don't know why. Usually you're kind of locked in on throwing, so you don't really like hear much. But for whatever reason, I heard the PA announcer just say like, making his major league debut, Mickey Jannis on the mound, and like as soon as I heard that, for whatever reason, I heard that and just kind of like had to take a second, like regather myself and like, all right, let's go. We gotta get the guys out now. So it was just. Yeah, I mean, again, it's hard to put into words, but that was kind of like when it really hit me that it was like, all right, I'm really out here,
Yeah, you made it. You sure made it, Mickey. And congratulations to you. But baseball is a humbling game, and now you're back in the minor leagues again, fighting your way back for that next opportunity, which hopefully comes not too long from now in the big leagues. How do you now, take the kind of taste of the big leagues? You've reached that kind of pinnacle that you were striving for. Now, how do you take that experience and get back there?
Just kind of keep going like I always have. It's just the job's never done, and once you think you got it going, baseball will humble you pretty quick. So. Just trying to stay level-headed and keep going at it every day. Right now I got a new group of guys around us and they're in the playoff chase, so just trying to do my best to help us win. And obviously helping us win will mean I'm pitching my game and getting guys out. So it's just trying to keep getting after it every day. And baseball's a long season where you're going to have some ups and downs and, but it's just getting after it every day again still. So just staying on the grind is what everybody always says. And that's kind of what it is. Sometimes it's a grind, but we're right there in a playoff chase and trying to win games. So just going out there and pitching.
Mickey, I have loved following your story. I think there's so much to learn from your story, whether you're in sports, business, life in general. Anybody of any age can learn from your story. I am rooting for you as hard as anybody, and I can't wait to see you back in the big leagues. But at minimum, you have achieved that goal of yours, and there is something to be said for that. And keep pulling the tarp. I'll keep rooting for you, Mickey. It's been so great chatting with you about your story and your hard work and the way you've gone about your craft and your life. So thanks for pulling the tarp, and I appreciate you spending a few minutes with me this week, my friend.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.